Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 14th Jan. The news items that we have picked up from the Hindu are these 12. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, so what's the big deal about advancing the budget? Asked Supreme Court. So a petition has been brought forth before the Supreme Court. Even the opposition parties have put forth a petition before the Election Commission too, asking it to ask the central government to delay the budget presentation. So budget is scheduled to be presented on 1st Feb 2017. This is preponed by a month. So till last year, annually the budget is presented, the budget session commences and budget is presented in March, first week of March. So now it is first week of Feb itself, on 1st of Feb itself. So this preponing by a month has been done, while the opposition parties are demanding that it should be postponed by a month rather. So instead of March, it should be done later. So this demand is because there is model code of conduct in effect. So model code of conduct is effected by the Election Commission. Once the election is scheduled and election dates are announced, model code of conduct comes into effect. So this means that has been announced few days back. So that is for the elections in 5 state legislative assemblies. So this is Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur, Goa and Punjab, where elections are scheduled. So model code of conduct means no new schemes. One of the aspects is no new scheme program should be launched by any state central government. So that means the central government also should not launch any new schemes, because that may unduly sway the voter in favor of the government in power, that political party. So to ensure that voters remain unbiased, it is required that no new schemes programs are launched just when the elections are scheduled. So that is part of the model code of conduct. And budget, generally we see that new schemes programs are generally announced in the union budget. So that is why the demand is being made presently. The Supreme Court earlier had been asked to urgently take over the petition. Supreme Court then had said that there is no urgency in this matter, and now the petition has come forward before it, and still the Supreme Court questions that what is the big deal about it. So if the budget is being advanced, what's the problem? So because this is just a government statement that the budget will be presented from Feb 1 rather than March 1. So which law, constitutional provision is being violated? So that is what the Supreme Court is asking. So this is actually model code of conduct being violated. So that aspect will be looked into by the Supreme Court, or only the Election Commission can pass a judgment on it. That we'll have to still wait and watch. Supreme Court is raising its hands up. It says it has nothing to do with any violation of any law. The Supreme Court cannot do anything. So that is what the stand Supreme Court is taking. I mean, the case of judicial restraint presently. So this case, you should also understand why the government is preponing the budget. So this had been announced long back. This is not just when the elections have been scheduled, but around 6 months back in mid-2016 itself, the finance minister had proposed this. So there have been many reforms which have been brought out by the present central government, like the railway budget and the general budget have been merged. So 2017-18 will be the first financial year when the railway budget will not be separately presented, but there will be one general budget presented. So that is one reform. And another reform of this preponing the budget. What is the reason behind it? The reason behind this is that budget is generally proposed in March. Then it takes some time for the parliament to look into all the budgetary proposals. Discussions take place, voting takes place, various motions, you must have read about cut motions, etc., which are passed on various provisions. And after that, once the entire budget is finally passed, then it is put into effect. So that takes more than the time frame of the financial year. So financial year commences from 1st April. So budget may be passed, but the two bills, budget is actually, in constitutional terms, it is called annual financial statement. So this budget means annual financial statement. It comprises of two bills which have to be passed, appropriation bill and finance bill. So for the government to finalize these takes more time. So it goes beyond April. So that means financial year has already commenced, but the budget is not in place with fully put into effect with all the tax proposals, everything in place. So for this to be made sure that the parliament completes its work before the financial year commences, the budget has been preponed. Till before this, the provision was there a vote on account is provided for. So vote on account is constitutionally provided for, because this is again a British legacy. So this is how it is going on. So now the government has taken an initiative to rectify this too. That this is also possible that the budget be finalized before the financial year commences. So then there is no need for vote on account. What is this vote on account? Means for 2 months, whatever budgetary proposals are there, whatever allocation, say for each ministry. So every ministry gets allocation for a particular financial year. So from after 31st March, it is over. That money which has been allotted under the budget is for a year. After that, even if something is left in that amount, in that fund which has been allocated to a ministry, that cannot be carried over. It lapses. So that's why there's something called, this is called sunset clause, that it ends. The provision which was there, it ends. So that is why you hear of a term March rush too. So March rush means till in the month of March, then the ministries awaken and they try to spend as much as they can and bring things into effect, because otherwise after March that money is of no use even after being allocated. So that is March rush. So from 1st April they need new budgetary allocation. So new budgetary allocation will be according to the new budget, and new budget is not in place yet. So for that matter, 1/6 of the proposed budget, whatever is proposed, it may or may not be fully allocated, but generally it is. So that 1/6 of it is provided for 2 months. So for 12 months it's complete. So 1/6 for 2 months. So that's the calculation. So for 2 months, 1/6 of the money is provided to be used by various ministry and programs, whatever it may be. So this is called vote on account. So this is a temporary provision made. So if the budget is finalized before 1st April by 31st March, then there is no need for a vote on account. So that is what the reform is being proposed and tried to be put into effect from coming financial year. So that is why the budget has been preponed. But there is another matter surely, that it is clashing with the model code of conduct. So what will be the election commission stand on this? We'll again have to wait and watch. The next news item is House panel not to summon PM on demonetization. So this we have done earlier too, that Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament. So this is, there are various committees of the Parliament. This is one of the committees, and by convention this is headed by the leader, a member from the opposition political party. So even for this, the chairman of Public Accounts Committee is from Congress, V.K. Thomas, who is a former minister too. So he had made a statement that even the Prime Minister would be questioned before the committee on the question of demonetization. So for demonetization, various authorities have been called in, RBI governor, the various secretaries have been called in. But then these committees, parliamentary committees, cannot call a minister for questioning. Also, no minister is a member of this committee too. So these provisions are already there in place. So now there is a clarification which has been brought in, that it does not have the power to summon either the minister and any other minister, Prime Minister, any other minister, with respect to any issue. So even for demonetization, direct questions cannot be called, summoning cannot be done for ministers. So this is regarding that. So Public Accounts Committee is a 22-member committee. The CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, is called the friend, philosopher and guide of Public Accounts Committee. So its basic function is to examine the accounts and annual financial accounts of various ministries. So it examines the reports of CAG also on these accounts, the expenditures of various ministries, the tax administration. So on various aspects it can question. So it can question beyond the fundamental idea of expenditure. That expenditure has been done means economic aspect. Apart from that, wisdom, faithfulness is also a criteria for questioning. So that is also allowed. So this is the function of the committee, that it scrutinizes the public accounts. Public here again means government. So government accounts. So that is there. So for public sector undertakings, there is a separate committee on public undertakings. So that looks into accounts of public undertakings. Apart from that, Public Accounts Committee looks into all other accountings. So it can take suo moto. Suo moto means on its own, without being asked by any authority or body to do something. On its own, it can take up subjects which are not covered in CAG report 2 for questioning. So that's what we are seeing, that demonetization question has been raised by the Public Accounts Committee. A list of questions have been framed and provided to RBI Governor and the Cabinet Secretary and the Economic Affairs Secretary, Finance Secretary, to be responded to. And also they have been summoned for questioning. So that also we'll hear again on this too. So there is of course a provision, ministers cannot be called before the committee. The next news item is surviving drought. Kerala imposes curbs on water use. So Kerala is facing drought situation. So there are curbs on water use from reservoirs which have been put forth. So there is problem of drinking water supply may also run short. So there are efforts to set up drinking water kiosks also, means centers, stalls as such, where drinking water is provided. So it is also monitoring utilization of groundwater. It is putting restrictions on use of water for irrigation also presently. So that is the situation in Kerala. So we heard earlier, we have discussed about Tamil Nadu. Now in Kerala too, drought-like situation prevails. So this is the water availability for power generation too, you can see has drastically reduced for this year. So it says rainfall from January 1 has been 99% deficit. So what was expected in this month, that rainfall has not come. So this is, apart from southwest monsoon, northeast monsoon rains also come in the southern states, which has been a deficit. The next news item is smog disrupts flight across South India. So flights across South India have been disrupted by smog. So we hear of fog. So fog situation combined with smoke results in smog. So it results in reduced visibility. So how is this smog formed? This is shown here. So in presence of sunlight, UV rays, the nitrogen oxides which are there, which are released due to incomplete combustion, they combine with volatile organic compounds, VOCs, which are coming from petroleum products, and they together in presence of ozone near the Earth's surface, this ozone combine in presence of sunlight and they result in formation of smog along with particulate matter. So this is how smog is formed. So why smog formed too, and why is it a hazard? Because of temperature inversion, means whatever particulate matter, whatever is there in the air, it generally would move away. But in cases of smog and fog, it does not move, it stays in that region. So what is it that results in smog prevailing? So that is a question. So reason for that is temperature inversion. That in normal conditions, warm air and cold air. So as we go higher up, height increases, air becomes cooler and cooler. So warm air lies down, cold air lies up. But then warm air here, cool air is denser, warm air is lighter. So warm air, since it's lighter and cool air is denser, so movement of air takes place higher up. So that movement is there. But in cases of thermal inversion, so this is called temperature inversion. So in such cases, what happens is that generally cool air is up, but here in this case a warm air layer develops in between. So this results in, because warm air layer is lighter, so it will stay up, and cooler air is denser, so it will stay down. So that's why this whole, because so this happens during winter season. Fog generally we see during winter. So that is the reason why that cool air stays below the warm air. Why this warm air layer has come up, there can be various reasons. So these various reasons are because of various types of temperature inversion. So temperature inversion means that only, that when you are higher up in the atmosphere, as you go high up, the temperature reduces. So it's cooler and cooler as you go higher up. So when this trend changes, that is called reverse hota hai. So that is temperature inversion. So various types of temperature inversion, various reasons because of which this occurs. One is subsidence inversion. So when a large mass of warm air floats in at high altitudes. So that is when, like this is an example, that there is a hill, an elevated region. So because of which this warm air which is rising up because of this elevation and then coming across in this valley region. So valley here is cooler, and because this warm air has floated in on top of it, it is warmer. So this is temperature inversion. Cooler air below, warmer air up here. Then another one is radiation inversion. So this takes place at night time when the air near the Earth's surface cools faster than the warmer air. So during daytime air is warm, but at night time this air near the Earth's surface is cooling. So this is cooling faster than the warmer air. So cooler air lies below and warmer air up here. So this is again temperature inversion, but this does not last long. Means after the sun rises up, then this air, all the air becomes warm and this temperature inversion ends. Then the next news item is cost of Ken-Betwa project now goes up to rupees 18,000 crore. So we have done this earlier in news quite often, I think. And this cost we had seen then was 10,000 crores. So now the project cost has gone up to 18,000 crores. It's nearly double. So in thousands of crores. So the reason for this given is because this project is in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. So you can see these are the Ken and Betwa rivers. The Ken river and Betwa river both are tributaries of Yamuna. So they both join in Yamuna. So this project connecting the two rivers, this is the proposed link, Ken-Betwa link. So this is going to benefit Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh region. Even Uttar Pradesh Bundelkhand region would be benefited. Madhya Pradesh is the major beneficiary, and one problem is that this Ken river, which is flowing through your Panna National Park, this is a Panna Tiger Reserve here. So this will have some core forest area getting submerged because of this river linking project. So this is a major concern, but still the project has been given a go ahead even by the Environment Ministry. Forest Ministry approval was waited when it was last seen. So awaiting approvals, yet we are seeing that the project cost now been estimated. So the reasons given has gone high, because the reasons given are that one is because there will be an environment plan to be brought in place. So that's what it is said, that since this submergence is taking place, there will be environmental protection plan which will be required. Then the resettlement and rehabilitation of people affected by this project, there also a re-evaluation has been done and costs have gone high. Even inflation is blamed as a reason for costs going high. So that is how the re-evaluation has resulted in costs almost doubling now. So this is the project which has been given a go ahead. Actually, this is the first amongst the many river interlinking projects which have gone ahead up to this stage that it is being put into effect. So that is there. This is a 230-kilometer long canal and a series of barrages and dams which will be there connecting the two rivers. It will irrigate 3.5 lakh hectares in Madhya Pradesh and 14,000 hectares in Uttar Pradesh Bundelkhand region. So this is the benefit of the project. Plus the two dams also which are proposed on it are Makodia and Dhuadan dams. So this Makodia, Dhuadan dams, Dhuadan dam here is near the Panna National Park. So this, the demand was by environmentalists that this dam's height should be reduced a little so that the project will not result in so much submergence of the national park, the Tiger Reserve. But then the Ministry of Water Resources, Uma Bharti, she had made a statement, no, if the dam height is reduced, then the project itself will become unviable. It will not have the benefits which are expected out of it as such. So even the environmentalists have been won over. Environmental Ministry has given its approval. So we'll see now what happens further. So presently the news is of cost escalation. The next news item is Air India software purchase under CBI scanner. So this is Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP software of Air India, which was brought by it. It was brought for 225 crore rupees. So this is a huge amount of money for a software. So how this price has been so high? So there are cases of misappropriation here. There are irregularities in the purchase, the procedure followed. So there has been an inquiry into this matter by CBI, and this has been done on the recommendation of CVC, Central Vigilance Commission. So that is the body which looks into corruption related cases. So this CBI case has been filed presently. So that is the news. About CVC, you should know it was set up in 1964 on the recommendation of Committee on Prevention of Corruption, which was Santhanam, headed by Santhanam. It's called Santhanam Committee on Prevention of Corruption. So this body's recommendation resulted in this body set up in 1964, but it was not a statutory body, means not by any law of the government. Eventually an ordinance came up in 1998. So this ordinance is also a law. Ordinance is promulgated by the president when the parliament is not in session. So it's as good as a law, though it cannot last forever. Maximum is 6 months, 6 weeks. So a law has to be, ordinance stays into effect if the parliament approves it once it comes into session. The maximum gap between two sessions of parliament is 6 months. So that is the maximum gap, and once the parliament comes into session, within 6 weeks it should approve or disapprove the ordinance. So that will decide the lifetime. So that is 6 weeks maximum that the ordinance can go on. So that is the statutory status given by this ordinance in 1998 to CVC, and later a law had been passed. The act passed is Central Vigilance Commission Act of 2003. So under which it gets powers now. So it comprises of a chairman, Central Vigilance Commissioner, and there can be not more than 2 vigilance commissioners who will be members of this body. So it will look into all corruption related cases. So that's its functioning. It's monitoring all vigilance activity under the central government. So there are vigilance committees also set up in various ministries, departments too, which coordinate along with the CVC. Then this is next is regarding CBI too. So Central Bureau of Investigation. So it is the Intelligence and Security Service Agency of India. It functions under Ministry of Personnel, which is generally with the Prime Minister himself. So this ministry lies with the Prime Minister. So whoever minister is responsible to this too directly reports to the Prime Minister. So Ministry of Personnel is attached to the Prime Minister office only. And this was established before independence in 1941 when it was called Special Police Establishment. So it was Delhi Special Police Establishment Act under which CBI was formed. But then later in 1963 it has been renamed Central Bureau of Investigation, and it functions. Its motto is provided: industry, impartiality and integrity. The next news item is Pakistan missiles worry US. 47 entities under strict watch. So this has been in news few days back that USA has put 7 more entities of Pakistani organizations under trade restrictions. So trade restrictions have been imposed on them, and all of them are associated with Pakistan's missile program. So there are worries in USA that there is a range and variety of Islamabad's missile capabilities that are worrying them, because this may fall into military hands too, and they are capable of targeting West Asian nations too, which are allies of USA. So this is specifically with respect to Shah-3, which is a missile which developed by Pakistan targeting India. It has a range of 2,750 kilometers, and Pakistan's official statement on this is that it is the longest range missile till date, and it can reach up to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So specifically targeting India. So that is Shah-3. It was tested for the first time in 2015. So, but that is not the only case, because if it's a missile in Pakistan, it has a range of 2,700 around kilometers. So it can go up to Andaman and Nicobar Islands, but it can go beyond. So it's a complete radius. So it can target up to Israel. So that is also a worry, that it's capable of targeting Middle East, including Israel and Iran. So this is this missile. So that is worrying USA, that it may fall in wrong hands. Then the next news item is number of unemployed in India to climb, ILO. So it is International Labour Organization which has come out with its report World Employment and Social Outlook for 2017, in which it says that the number of unemployed in India are going to rise in 2017 by 1 lakh and in 2018 by 2 lakh. So we'll have to make provisions for them. It also specifically mentions about vulnerable forms of employment. Means it is employment contributing like family workers and having your own account workers. So they are expected to stay above 42% of total employment overall too. So it's talking about global unemployment too. So this vulnerable forms of employment are also high, which needs to be reduced. So this is being highlighted in this report. The International Labour Organization, you should know, it was founded in 1990. It's an agency under United Nations. It looks into all labour related issues. It can register complaints, but it cannot impose any sanctions on governments. So that power is not there with it. In 1969, it was given the Nobel Peace Prize for improving peace among classes. So it is a Peace Prize winning international organization. The next news item is trade deficit narrows in December. So this is India's trade deficit has narrowed in December 2016. It is lowest compared to the last 3 months, because in the last December month, it is seen that exports have expanded on a year-on-year basis, 4th consecutive month, and they have outpaced imports. So imports have not expanded at the same rate. So it is seen that 18 of the 30 major export segments like petroleum products, drug and pharmacy, gems and jewelry have recorded a growth in 2016 December. This month, but imports have shrunk, gold imports have shrunk. So this is presently the monthly basis report. What is trade deficit? Is difference between exports and imports. So that is the trade deficit. It's also called balance of trade. So if balance of trade is positive or negative. So if it's negative, it's a trade deficit. Means if exports are more than import, then trade is not a deficit. So that balance of trade would be positive, favorable. So trade deficit means unfavorable balance of trade. So that is their solution to this, is that to buy goods and services from domestic countries. So if you're buying from your own country, exports are increasing. That is another way. If you increase your exports, reduce your imports, it becomes balance of trade may become positive. But there are of course constraints when a huge import is of fuel. So there is a huge constraint that this can be suddenly reduced. Unless and until we work towards bringing in renewable forms of energy, increasing our domestic production in some ways, that fuel dependence reduces. Only then imports can go low. So that is a huge major chunk in our imports. Then the next aspect is balance of payment. So one is balance of trade and another is balance of payment. So balance of payment is a much wider concept than balance of trade. So it includes balance of trade, of course, but plus also invisibles. Means the trade is generally with respect to goods. So invisible trade is also included in this, and also your capital current account status, whether it is favorable or unfavorable, is also taken into consideration for balance of payment. So how much payment has to be made to external entities. So that is balance of payment of a country. So if you reduce taking loans from foreign countries, your balance of payment would also become favorable. So here the complete equations are also provided. So balance of trade means exports minus import of goods. Balance of current account. So in payments there are two accounts, current account and capital account for any country economy. So the current account, balance of current account means balance of trade plus net earnings on invisibles. So trade in goods plus in invisibles means services. So net earnings on invisibles means export minus import. So that is net. So net earnings on invisibles and net of goods, both together become balance of current account. Again, this may be positive or negative. Balance of capital account means foreign exchange. Foreign exchange flow from various ways. Foreign loans, banking transactions, or capital coming in, foreign exchange coming in. So foreign exchange inflow minus foreign exchange outflow. So that is balance of capital account. So current means in present running scenario, capital means large amount of money which stays in the country. So like FDI or something. Then the next is overall balance of payment. So overall balance of payment is balance of both. Balance of current account plus balance of capital account plus statistical discrepancies. That is just a term mentioned if there are any discrepancies that are taken into consideration here. So that is overall balance of payment. The next news item is Niti Aayog to soon set up panel on poverty line. So poverty line means the minimum level of income that is deemed to be adequate for a person or for a family. So that is called the poverty line. So BPL, below poverty line, has to be determined for various schemes, programs to be implemented. So there are discrepancies of how BPL is determined in various states. So there's a need for a uniformity and an expert committee which needs to be set up to decide this new poverty line. So now Niti Aayog will set up an expert committee on this. So this has already been announced in 2015. Now this will be put into action. So the history behind this is that there were two committees before this, recent committees which have been set up before. Since independence, there have been many committees which have given the poverty lines, but the recent ones are many. So recent ones are 2005, it was Tendulkar committee which was set up to look into the how to define poverty and how to combat poverty. So it had brought out its poverty line. Its report was submitted in 2009 and it determined that the minimum spending threshold in urban areas per person per day is 33 rupees. Means if you have 33 rupees in a day, you can take care of all your basic requirements, food, clothing, shelter, etc. So that was the threshold. That below this is poverty, beyond this is not poverty. So that is the threshold level, and minimum spending in rural areas was kept at 27. This resulted in a huge controversy and debate on this matter, that how can poverty line be so low? How can a person live in this much amount in a day in urban and rural areas both? So this, according to this definition, then population below poverty line in India was 270 million. Now after this, because of the controversy, another committee was set up in 2012. This is Rangarajan committee headed by C. Rangarajan. So here the report was submitted in 2014 and it gave the threshold as 47 rupees and 32 rupees respectively. So after this in 2015, so this was under the former government, UPA 2 government. Now when NDA government, BJP government came to power in 2015, another committee was set up under Niti Aayog vice chairman, then vice chairman Arvind Panagariya. So this committee said that it backed the Tendulkar committee's methodology of determining the poverty line in its draft, but then this poverty line determination had become controversial. So there was lack of consensus amongst the members of this task force headed by Arvind Panagariya. So eventually they said that we are recommending, that the task force is recommending an expert group consisting of countries' leading specialists on poverty to consider the issue in depth and recommend the poverty line. So this is what it had recommended in 2015. So this is what is being put into effect right now. Said that the Niti Aayog has said that it will set up an expert committee to arrive at a new poverty line. So this is as per the recommendation of Task Force on Elimination of Poverty set up by Niti Aayog in March 2015. So that is the news. So again it will come into news, so we'll look at it, but this is the background. The next news item is Indian pepper may be a cancer fighter. So this is Indian pepper, the long Indian pepper, which is known for as a spice. It's spice of food, but then it has potential cancer treatment potential too. So that has come forth in a study which has been published in a journal. So this, it says it contains a chemical. This chemical is piperlongumine. So this chemical can stop the body from producing an enzyme that is commonly found in tumors in large numbers. So this is through the gene. So the gene which is silenced because of this PL, piperlongumine. So this PL gets converted into HPL, which is an active drug that silences this gene, which has been named GSTP1. So this gene GSTP1 produces detoxification enzyme. So this detoxification enzyme is found in large numbers in tumors. So when this detoxification enzyme is reduced, the tumor's effect can also be reduced, and then it can become a potential cancer treatment drug. So there is a need for research on this, but this has been approved in a study in this journal as such. So this has been done through X-ray crystallography, that using X-ray crystallography they have been able to understand how the molecular structures, how the chemical gets transformed once it is ingested. So that study has been done and this report has come out. Then the next news item is the last one. In Praise of Air, a poem that cleans your environment. So this is a poem, In Praise of Air, which has been written by an award-winning writer, Simon Armitage, in UK. It has been put up in University of Sheffield. So it has been printed on this specially treated material, which has been developed by scientists at the university, that is capable of purifying its surrounding through catalytic oxidation. So this you can see is how it has been put up on the building. And this catalytic oxidation means the catalyst, these chemicals, pollutants, it passes through them and they are oxidized. So its output is carbon dioxide and water. So that is how purification takes place, through catalytic oxidation. So this is the specially treated material which helps in doing this. So it has, after 2 years of it being set up, it has been seen that more than 2 tons of pollution from the environment in this region has been removed. So this is a revolutionary way. Even the poem inspires the people to work for environment purification, plus also the material itself. The thing itself is also helping in purification. So this is an innovative idea which can be used in billboards and artworks in towns and cities across the world, and that will help in purification of the environment. So this is the news, In Praise of Air. So these are the news items for today. Thank you.